I used to think that love meant sacrifice, that if I worked hard enough, stayed quiet enough, gave enough, eventually they'd see me. But 6 years passed, and all I ever became was the girl who stayed. The one who filled in gaps, covered shifts, smiled when her hands bled. At 24, I knew the cafeteria's floor tiles better than I knew my own face in the mirror. I worked 3 jobs: nursing assistant, night shift janitor, and weekend kitchen help at the hospital. My hands cracked from bleach. My eyes stung from lack of sleep. Meals became memories. Silence wrapped itself around me so tightly I forgot the sound of my own voice. At Sunday brunch, my mother, Marlene, clinked her mimosa and said it again, "Our Celeste, our doctor." I sat across from them, the forgotten seat. I wasn't even on the porch when they took the family photo, but I remembered that letter. It had my name, Audria Hale, typed in bold on the envelope. A scholarship, a full ride, but the seal had already been broken. The contents gone. When I asked Celeste, her lips curled with practiced softness. "Mom thought you weren't ready. She was just looking out for you." Celeste walked into orientation at Jefferson Medical that August, head held high, white coat crisp. I watched from behind a mop bucket. That same day, I tore up my own college application papers and threw them in the dumpster behind the hospital. I told myself maybe they were right. Maybe I wasn't meant for anything more. Still, I stayed. Someone had to. They said it was temporary. "Just for a year," Marlene whispered, handing me a stack of tuition forms. "You've always been better with money." I signed the loans. Payday advance contracts with fine print and bloodsucker interest rates. I stuffed them into my sock drawer, beneath bills I couldn't pay and letters I didn't dare open. Celeste floated through those years like she was born for it. New laptop gifted by the family. Weekend trips to conferences. Fresh shoes. I, meanwhile, washed my scrubs in the sink and let my phone service lapse. "Not everyone was meant for greatness, honey," Marlene once said when I asked if I could cut back on my 3rd job. "You're steady. That's your gift." Steady. That word was a leash. I remember reading a quote once, scribbled on the wall of the hospital's break room. "We accept the love we think we deserve." Maybe I deserved this, or maybe I was too tired to ask for more. Have you ever given your all to someone who thought you owed it to them? Marlene's birthday came that year. The whole family gathered, roast, wine, candles. My seat was at the far end, half cut off by the hallway. Every toast lifted was for Celeste, to our doctor, to the pride of the Hale family. My name never came up, not in the photos, not in the speeches, not in the glances. I left early and waited outside the hospital for Rowan, my brother, my only hope for a ride. He stepped out laughing, Celeste by his side. He saw me, then looked away. The car pulled off. I walked home in the rain. 2 miles. My shoes soaked through. The skin on my heels peeled off in sheets. I reached the door, cold and shaking. No one called. No one asked. I lit a candle and sat by myself. The wax melted down, dripping slow. That night, I learned candles don't just burn, they disappear. A week later, Rowan came by with papers. "Investment stuff," he said casually. "Nothing big. Mom said you'd be fine with it." I didn't read past the 2nd paragraph. My fingers signed where he pointed. After all, we were family. I was just helping out. But a week later, I noticed a stamp. A notary's mark. Something official. I felt it in my stomach first, that slow churn of knowing. The papers had shifted property. From my name to Celeste's. Investments, savings bonds, even a tiny patch of land our grandmother had left me. Gone. A neighbor, Mr. Garrison, stopped me one morning. "You're too nice, Audria," he said, patting his dog. "That's dangerous." That night, I pulled the copies I'd made, thank God I had, and sealed them in a manila envelope. I slid it into the back of my drawer, locked it, said nothing. They all assumed I wouldn't fight, that I'd never push back, that I'd keep folding towels and pouring coffee and paying bills for dreams I didn't even get to have. But that night, as rain tapped the window, soft, insistent, like the knock no one ever answered, I whispered to myself, "They think I'll never speak. Let them." The days after I locked the envelope were quiet. Too quiet. I buried myself in shifts at the hospital, anything to stay out of that house. I told myself stability was coming, that maybe things would soften, maybe I'd find footing. I stopped asking for peace. I started hoping for neutrality. Elias showed up outside the loading dock one afternoon with 2 coffees. "Have you been sleeping?" he asked, eyes scanning mine too gently. I shrugged. Sleep's overrated. He stayed quiet, but I saw the flicker of worry. I wasn't ready to let him back in. Not yet. That same night, Marlene called. "Adria, come babysit Jace. Rowan and I have dinner plans." There was no question in her voice, just expectation. I was always free, right? "Family first, Audria," she added as if that explained everything. "Especially yours." I didn't argue, but when I walked into the kitchen, Rowan wouldn't meet my eyes. He just handed me the baby monitor and walked out. My skin prickled with something I couldn't name then. Maya Angelou once said, "When people show you who they are, believe them the first time." I had spent too many years covering my eyes. Celeste found out about Elias. I don't know how. Maybe someone saw us. Maybe she just sniffed it out. Jealousy and control looked the same on her. That night, the entire family was waiting in the living room when I got home. I thought someone had died. In a way, someone had. Celeste crossed her arms. "Is it true you've been seeing Elias again?" I nodded slow. "Yes." Rowan leaned forward, like I'd confessed a felony. "He's beneath our standards. You're embarrassing this family." "Since when do I represent anyone but myself?" "You're still part of us," Marlene chimed in, "even when you're selfish. But if you walk out with him tonight, don't come back." I looked at the 3 of them. My sister with her smirk. My brother, who once held my hand when we lost Grandma. My mother, who raised me to obey. And I walked out. I didn't slam the door. I didn't cry. But something in me cracked clean through. Would you stay in a home that asked you to choose between love and obedience? A week later, my supervisor handed me a sealed envelope. Inside, a formal notice. Financial irregularities under my name. Potential suspension. Court investigation pending. I stood there, blood draining from my face. "I never got a summons," I whispered. He shrugged. "Says you were served weeks ago." I remembered Rowan pulling mail from the box before I could. Celeste, laughing in the kitchen, tearing something up. "Handled it," she'd said, waving her wine glass. They'd known. They'd planned. "They're not just unkind," I muttered as I walked out. "They're dangerous." Then came the family meeting. I thought, naively, it was reconciliation, a conversation, maybe even an apology. Instead, I sat at the kitchen table like a defendant. Marlene read a list. "You've drained our resources. You've isolated yourself. You've brought shame." Rowan slid over a folder. Bank statements. My name highlighted, pages redacted, numbers twisted. "These debts are under you," he said. "They're not mine," I said. Celeste sipped her wine. Denials unbecoming. Jace, sitting nearby, piped up, innocent. "Mom said Aunt Audria is our parasite." I froze. My jaw clenched. Across the room, Celeste lifted her phone, recording. Not subtly, not hidden. "You were meant to serve this family," Marlene said, voice like a blade. "Stay in your lane, Audria." My hands trembled. My voice didn't. "Is that all?" I asked. The night didn't end there. Celeste hosted a private dinner. Celebration for her medical career milestone. I was pressured to attend. Obligated. Fake smiles. Stiff hugs. I sat quietly waiting for my name. Any acknowledgement. Nothing. In her speech, Celeste thanked everyone who supported me. Everyone but me. I slipped outside. Stood under the porch light, trying to breathe. Behind me, Someone said she didn't pay for anything. We covered it all. I turned. Celeste's friend, gossiping loud enough to pierce. My 6 years erased. Elias found me near the driveway, my face pale, hands curled into fists. You deserve better than people who erase you, he said. I couldn't even nod. My throat was cement. That night, I logged into our shared bank account. 0. Celeste had transferred the remaining funds days ago. Everything I saved, skimmed, sacrificed. Gone. I stormed to Marlene's room. Why? She looked up, serene. You should have known better than to trust paperwork. I collapsed in the bathroom. Not crying. Not shaking. Just still. Then I moved. Drawer. Folder. Every receipt. Every notarized paper. Every loan. Every sacrifice. I gathered it all. They think I'm broken, I said to the mirror. They don't know I've kept every piece. The morning air outside the courthouse was crisp, almost too clean. I walked in alone. No hand to hold. No one waiting. But for the first time, I didn't feel small. I carried everything I needed inside me, and one locked envelope clutched tight in Nora Kensington's briefcase. Down the hallway, I spotted them. Celeste in her white dress suit, laughing too loudly. Marlene sipping from her reusable coffee cup, probably filled with judgment. Rowan scrolling his phone, avoiding my gaze like a coward in plain sight. They looked relaxed, triumphant. Nora met me at the steps of Courtroom B. Her nod was calm, controlled. It's time. We stepped into the room. Wooden benches, a single shaft of sunlight cutting through the window, casting its light right where I would sit. I chose to believe it meant something. For once, the light had found me. Judge Calder entered. He didn't announce himself with sound, but with presence. Strong, reserved, watching everything. Have you ever been in a room full of people who once crushed you, knowing this time you came prepared? When Nora stood, she moved with purpose. She placed the sealed envelope on the desk and spoke without raising her voice. Your Honor, inside this envelope are 6 years' worth of certified transfers, loan agreements, and signed receipts, all linked to one woman's sacrifice. She opened the envelope with precision, not drama. Each document bore my name, my signature, my timestamp. I had written myself out of erasure. Judge Calder flipped through slowly, his brow furrowed until he paused. He glanced at me. Then he smiled, barely, but it was there. Injustice anywhere, he quoted, is a threat to justice everywhere. Rowan jumped up. Objection. These could have been fabricated. Calder raised one hand, silencing him. Celeste leaned in to whisper something to her attorney, feigning ignorance. Marlene folded her arms tighter, unmoving. This isn't just about money, Calder said. This is about character. And character, Ms. Hale, is something you seem to possess in abundance. Celeste snapped. This is fake. She's just bitter. Nora didn't flinch. Your Honor, I have additional evidence. A small screen played a video. Celeste, seated across a table, laughing, signing a loan document. Don't worry, she said on tape. Audrey is too soft to ever fight back. Then came the witness. I'm her boyfriend, the man said nervously. She always said her sister was too naive to notice, that she was easy to use. The gallery gasped. Marlene looked like the wind had been knocked from her. Her eyes darted around, looking for a place to hide. And there, sitting quietly in the back, was Elias. His eyes never left mine. Marlene rose suddenly, walked toward the bench. I was wrong, she said, voice cracking. I failed you. I looked at her, not with hatred, but with truth. I don't owe you anything anymore. Calder delivered the verdict. Full reimbursement, public apology, permanent restriction on estate access. You stood your ground with grace, he told me. And then Mr. Lowell Garrison stood. I live across from the Hale house, he began. For years I saw that girl standing in the rain, always alone, waiting. She deserved better. Nora closed the case. This isn't just a legal victory. This is a reclaiming of identity. No one clapped, but the silence said more than noise ever could. Outside, the sky had cleared. Elias caught up with me on the courthouse steps. "You did more than survive, Audria," he said. "You showed them who you are." Later that afternoon, my phone buzzed. An email, a job offer from a legal nonprofit focused on economic justice. I stood outside a nearby coffee shop, paper cup warming my fingers, and felt something I hadn't in years. Choice. Not revenge. Rebirth. When the world tried to erase me, I wrote my name in ink. I walked toward the future. Behind me, a letter from Celeste would arrive, her name on the return address. But I wouldn't open it. Not this time.